Assalamu alaikum. I am very happy to be amongst you guys here today. It's always a pleasure to be back on the TEDxAUI University. So I prepared some slides, like just a few minutes ago, and I was like, I'll do that from the heart. I'll speak from the heart to you all as a fellow student and alumni of the University. I'm a product of the University, and it has stayed the first time today, and we've arrived today, and I'm here with you to share all of that. So I remember in 2018, I got my high school degree, and I went to France to study medicine. I studied my first year there, second year in Romania, just before COVID, and it turned out that's not what I wanted to do. And I came back to Toronto, and because it was mid-year, I found myself at home. We graduated with a high school degree. We went and studied in one of the best medical schools there is in Europe. And then, 2 years later, you find yourself at home. That's it all. So I said, one thing that you should know is because I grew up in an entrepreneurial environment. My dad is an entrepreneur, my granddad is an entrepreneur. I grew up working in the family business for as much as I remember. And when I came back from France, before joining TEDxAUI, I sat at home for 6 months. I was learning about entrepreneurship, how to build a business, etc. It was the bloom of startups at that time, innovation, etc. So, at that time, there was something called the program Pelata, launched by His Majesty the King. And I wanted to benefit from this. So I had a project idea, I built a business plan, and I applied for it, and I got it. And I got the grant. And I had money to build up my first business. So automatically, I thought, I was like, I am 19 years old, I built up my first business, I'm going to do it profitable, I'm going to abderrahim University, I'm going to study business administration, so that I can scale it and expand the business. 1 year after that, my business got way too technical. And I needed to know what my engineers and technicians are doing. And I switched to engineering. So that's my third career change within 3 years. I studied engineering. And at that time, a lot of my friends at TEDxAUI, they came to me asking for advice. How can I build this business? How can I market? How can I get my first clients, etc. And at that time, also it had fallen with the time that TEDxAUI was thinking of building the first incubator at TEDxAUI. They tried before in 2001 2002, but they wanted to try again. So we went with my friend here at the president's office and we pitched the idea of the first student-led business incubator, which later became Startup Business Incubator. At that time, when we pitched the idea, we investigated. Okay. We wanted to understand why is our ecosystem is very important. It doesn't yield a lot of startup. It doesn't yield a lot of innovation. Just so you know, we're behind Kenya, we're behind Uganda, we're behind Egypt, we're behind many of lots of countries who have a well-set startup ecosystem. Less, Morocco, we don't have that. So we investigated. And what we found, what we did is try to duplicate or to copy the Western ecosystem. Silicon Valley, mostly, some incubators and startup ecosystems in Singapore, in Europe. All good. It's from Morocco, it's an economy that is different, it's an artist that is different, it's a culture that is different, it's the whole ecosystem is different. So we cannot duplicate something that works elsewhere, bring it to Morocco, and we hope that we're going to have the next Facebook, the next Airbnb. It's not how it works. And an incubator is not having a co-working space and the workshops. That's not an incubator. It's way, way too technical. So with our first partner, Nova Technologies, Novatech, so that's a partner that we signed with here at TEDxAUI University, we built a Moroccan-made program built by Moroccans for Moroccans. An incubation program that people don't understand. We went to the bullet panels, went to the biggest manager in the biggest company in Morocco, to the small startups, and we studied the process of having an idea and building a product, honestly, to the market. we found out that entrepreneurship is an equation that is very simple. Here's a problem. Here's a team member. Come up with a solution that solves that problem, satisfies that demand. People pay the money so that make their life easier. That's entrepreneurship. And we also found that one of the most successful startups since COVID are the ones who launched the ugliest version of their prototype of all. You just have to launch something. Because when you launch the most ugly version of your prototype, you interact with your client, they give you feedback, you make iteration based on that feedback, but you ask them. Because if you build a solution as innovative as it is, but it's not up to the expectations of the user, they're not in the market. So at startup like this, the program that we built, one of my students here in abderrahim, I remember in 2021, 2023, they came to me and was like, I have a business idea, I need money, how much are you giving me? And most people, I either they don't see, do not respond. They used to respond, but I do not do it. Because I always said that the focus should be on building a product that works. So that was the initial idea, and we built the whole incubation program around it. And that's yielded to have, I don't know if you know these startups, OneShmake, Digital Solutions, Ken, Cleat, all those startups started alphabet at Startup Campus Incubator. And since then, we have, we found that we are bringing too much value in a very small ecosystem. And what we decided is to make it accessible for a lot of people. I've sat with the Ministry of Greater Transition, with a lot of other ministers, and with the private organizations who were like, this has to scale. This is too good for you to keep it just in TEDxAUI or just the region. So in January, now that I'm talking to, we are prepared for the biggest proof application we're doing. In January, 1st of January 2026, we are incubating more than 300 startups along the country of Morocco in different sectors, fintech also. So we're taking everything. What we're doing actually is how were we able to reach those members that I'm talking about? Startup Campus Incubator more than 500 specifically wide. It's yielded 24 successful business ideas, 12 are incorporated and raised money. One, it's because of the abundant problem. We build something that works, I will set that to our economy, I will coach our ecosystem. And now we're taking this to a national level. So I think that's supposed to be here. If you go to the street, anyone that comes here, and that has a business idea. And you might ask, okay, look, I have a business idea. Okay, that's good. What's the first step? Where do you start? They would know how to answer you. Because of three things maybe. Information is not centralized, it's not automated, and it's not digitized. We have so many actors in the world. We have nothing, we have ministries, we have private actors, we have public actors. Information is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So what we do as startup is we act as the bridge, as the chef d'orchestre that organizes all of it. Okay? So we're not saying generate, what we did is automate digitized. So one of the features that I wanted to talk to you, and then you can tell me the benefits and whether you see that those features are helping the future venture building model. So the startup platform, what has, by the way, I was preparing this last minute, so no slides, nothing at all, and I'll just explain the features. First of all, we have a social network. It is ours, meaning you can connect with the mentors, investors, fellow entrepreneurs within the same platform on a continental level, connect with them, be part of the community. Second, we have an incubation program that is built for the African economy and market. Third, we have an opportunity portal with more than 2,000 opportunities updated every week, so that information is centralized, digitized, and automated in one place. And if you need any opportunity you want, you can find it there. Again, social media network, incubation program, opportunity portal. We also create an acceleration portal where you can fundraise in 3 steps. You build a document, you do the diligence assessment, you secure the first utility investors, and you negotiate. Because all the startups, we were our startup members by the end of the program. time, they have a product that works, solves a problem, answers the demand. And they have to actually yield the first client. So your chances to secure pre-seed, seed, or series A are a little bit higher than the average. So again, the acceleration protocol 3 is a steps to fundraise. We also automate, centralize, and digitize the process of creating a company in Delaware, America, in Morocco, Casablanca, in London, UK, and in Dubai, UAE. And also, we created a concierge service on the same platform. We created a talent acquisition service on the same platform, meaning the startup founder, I don't know, they're a tech profile. They're a tech profile, they built a really good MVP, it answers the expectations of the client, great features, they're preparing to the market position. They need to start creating content, brand identity. They cannot do that. We show them how to. They can go hire someone within the platform that knows how to do that. Okay? Or you can either choose the CDD, intern, freelance, whatever. So it's one platform, social media network, incubator, accelerator portal, opportunity portal, legal company creation, again, centralized, digitized, and automated. So we started in January, and we are basically accepting everyone in all the industries. Something else, if I think, because I'm trying to keep this very brief, concise, yes, because I didn't want to talk about myself. I'm nothing close to the success story. If I want you to take something out of my presentation today, would be the following. Number one, when you want to build an idea, focus on the problem, not on the client. Deliver the ugliest version of the product you can, and interact with the client as much as you can, so that you can collect feedback as much as you can, so that you can make iterations on that feedback as much as you can, and then you deliver a product to the market. It's up to the expectations of people. Okay. So if I were to briefly, very, very briefly, walk you through the steps, then how will we able to do this? What else in the business? One should start by seeing your business model from an ivory building. And then start jumping up to details. It is a structure. Okay. So at startup, what we do first stage is big incubation phase, which is business idea validation. We understand the problem or need. We understand the audience. We understand also the feasibility and how financeable is your product. Once you do that, your business idea is validated, you move to the next stage. The next stage is what? The next stage is ideation stage. When you finish the incubation, you know what you want to build. You know to whom you want to sell the service. And you know if the market is ready for it. Now what we do is that we start within the ideation stage. Ideation stage, as we said, I review, we started the business model canvas, which is a tool that 99% business students later. It's who are your customers? What's your product? Who are your customers? What's the relationship you want to say with your customers? What's the cost? What's the profit? What's the value proposition? If you know those 7 parameters, there isn't any business idea you can. This is like the first step. And then we move, by the time you finish the business model canvas, not only know what's your product, but you know how you need to, which channels you distribute, where do you promote, how much is your cost, how much is your profit, etc. Now we go to the step that we call benchmarking. And because I love working with analogies, I'll tell you what benchmarking is. Basically, it's that first step, when there is a pool. Swimming pool, and you want to jump. There's a lot of people in the pool, playing, people are in the water, and you don't know if it's cold or it's warm. You just put the tip of your toe before you jump to the pool. So that's benchmarking. You try to understand the market before you jump. First thing, we study the competition. If you are building something and you have a competitor, it means that they know something that you don't, because they've been in business longer than you are, and you need to learn how are they doing the business. So we study competitors. Second thing is customer profile. We try to categorize. The more you categorize your customer segment, the easier it is for you to reach out to them. Let's say that tomorrow I'm opening a website that sells socks. If I say my clients are people that live in Israel, it's a customer segment. If I say my clients are the people that live in Israel that study Salafi University, that's a better categorization of the customer segment. If I say people that live in Israel that study at TEDxAUI that are girls, it's a better. The more you categorize, the easier it is for you to reach out to them later on. So that's the full purpose of benchmarking, understanding your competitors and understanding your clients. Once you do that, by this stage, you know what you sell it to, what I distribute, what's your client, what's your cost, what's your profit, what's the market, what does it look like, your competitors, who are your clients. Now you are ready to present yourself as a brand. How do you present yourself as a brand? Again, another analogy. Think of it as what is your brand identity as a company? When you walk in the streets, you will have like shops. And the people who walk in the street are the audience. Okay? So there is a step from having an audience to convert it into a potential client and then convert it into an actual client. And how do you do that? Is through brand identity, because that's what we communicate. So first step is those audiences in the shop. Those people, when they pass by your shop, they look at the lavatory, well entertained with the product, prices are very clear, they put their heads up, they see the logo with the name of the shop, clear. So you converted them, if they're interested in the product, you converted them from an audience to a potential client. And if they're more interested, they go inside the shop and they do your sales page and you convert it to an actual client. So the other, in the startup context, what is it? It's the business interface. It's your website, it's your social media, it's any tool or instrument of communication you use to communicate yourself as a brand. So how do we build that? First, you need the tools. You need the mission, vision, and value. Mission, vision, and value are the issues that help you build that brand identity. It allows you to build an effective brand name, effective color palette, an effective slogan, etc. By the way, I'm trying, sorry for the details, but I'm trying to give you just an eye review of what we do and how we do it. So by the time you finish brand identity, you are ready to present yourself as a brand. Now the next step is communicating to audience. And what are we doing this, and what is in this specific order? It's because I told you earlier, the more you communicate with your audience and the client, the more you can build a product that works. Okay, good. But I think when you talk with the client, before you open your mouth, they have already a perception about need to communicate the right way, with the right tool, the right channels, etc. And these tools will build with the brand identity and the previous steps. So by this time, we have all the necessary tools to go and talk with the client. And I remember in the first days when we did the focus group. The focus group is the time where startups listen to their clients and they start talking. Okay, this is my product, would you buy it? Yes. How much? With X amount there, it's good. And what people think about you? Okay, good. Startups, they started to see that they're getting generic answers, unique answers about their product that they already own. So why bother to us to focus group? That was a problem. So what we did is have a few guys do something called the customer empathy map. The customer empathy map is a set of questions that any consumer in the world asks themselves before purchasing any product. And you ask it yourself in a very intentional way, without actually thinking about it, ask yourself the question. First thing, what's the financial impact that the product will have on me? What's the psychological impact that the product will have on me? What's the sociological impact? So those questions, they ask themselves before making the decision of whether to buy the product or not. So we take that map, and we build the questions of the focus group based on that answers the demands of the client. So not to take too much time to talk about this, but at this time, we're literally ready to build a prototype because you ask the feedback from the client, they give that feedback, make iterations, make a version of product that works, and you go to the market, and since then it's only iterations. For me, that's the end of explaining the program incubation. I know that here there are some of my startups, some people who joined the program. if I were to say something actually from the heart, it's that I'm very honored to be here. It's always a pleasure. If it wasn't for abderrahim University, if it wasn't for the support system that I had here, then while being a student, I've built an incubator, I've managed my family business, I managed my business, and I learned a lot, I helped students create ventures, and they themselves employed a lot of people, recruited a lot of value. So thank you so much for receiving me. I try to be really, really precise. Thank you so much.